First of all, I want to say thanks for having me. HHSTV is always a pleasure to do interviews with my core company. I don't feel like we're trying to change hip hop. I feel like we're just adding a positive twist to hip hop that's very necessary and missing right now. My core business is real estate. I do real estate with my brain. I do hip hop with my heart, because hip hop didn't always pay the bills. And I feel like there's only a certain amount of slots in hip hop. Not saying that you shouldn't dream, you should always go for your dreams, but you have to be realistic about the business of music. And within the business of music, there's only a certain amount of slots. So with all the talented people that are in music and hip hop, you just got to be realistic about the opportunities within the business of hip hop and music, period, for that matter. Whether it be artist side or whether, it's behind the scenes, being a director, being a producer. And with hip hop success, we were tired of the negative message that media was portraying in hip hop. It's always about who's got beef or who, even though hip hop elements started with breaking and battles amongst breakers and MC battles, that will always be a nucleus of hip hop. But I'm talking about taking it to the streets where it becomes physical and outside of the music. We tend, as a culture, to gravitate towards those negative, situations, and it becomes a stereotype that's stuck with hip hop that it has to be negative or killing or shooting or, insurances are high to do a hip hop concert because more than likely somebody's gonna get shot. And growing up in LA, that was a reality growing up. I mean, I grew up off of Slauson, in between Crenshaw and Overhill, and a lot of my peers didn't make it to the age that I am now. They didn't even make it to the 20s, and I'm in my 30s now, so, I just wanted to give back to the positive elements of hip hop and share it with the world, and hip hop success is a part of that. I was in a group called Another Level. We were signed to Laylaw of NWA and Above the Law, and Ice Cube executive produced our first project. We had features with Ice Cube on the music, and Far Side. Our first album is called On Another Level. And we were one of the first groups to ever throw up the W for the West Side, which really stood for Westchester at that point. But, doing music back in those days, it just wasn't a practice for the artists to make very much money. And we sold 250,000 records. We didn't see too much money. But back then, that was the days of, contracts were all swirly and cats weren't making that much money. And my boys, after Another Level days, I started doing independent music. And I always do music. I'm still doing independent music right now, just for the love of it. But there's also a business side to the music, and doing independent music wasn't making me as much money as I wanted to. I mean, matter of fact, I was making good music, but my boys, rest in peace to my partner Sticks from Another Level of Sticks and Stones, just passed away earlier this year. He taught me the real estate game, and I watched him. He was one of my idols. He was the oldest in the group. I was the youngest in the group, and we started the group together. But he was doing real estate, so I'm doing independent music, and he'll pull up to my studio and grab the new music that I was doing and jump in his BMW and roll off, bumping my music and, pulling some of that good Cali. And I just said, man, after making music, I want my 40 acres and a mule out this country. When times got rough, at 22, it's not cool not to have your own spot in LA. You want to have your own crib, you want to have your own car, and music wasn't doing that for me. And my boys doing real estate were pulling up in the fat whips and pulling up to houses. And I just thought, man, I don't want to go back to my mom's house anymore. I want to have my own piece of America. I want my own property in my name, free and clear. So if times ever get rough, I can go home, put my feet up, have a beer, and think of the next plan. You know what I'm saying? Hip hop is amazing. It's one of the most amazing genres of music ever. We're going on 45 years strong of hip hop being a part of America, and it's an African-American jewel to be celebrated. I mean, I love the state of hip hop right now. It's $1 trillion economy. The problem is the lack of balance, and I feel like there's a lack of balance as far as the message that's coming from hip hop. You got an overflow of negative, ratchet, where I feel my error the golden era was more balanced. You had your NWAs that were street, but then you had your poor righteous teachers and your public enemies and your KRS-Ones that had a message. And that way, you, the consumer, could decide what you felt like that day. If you want to roll on something to uplift your spirit and consciously feed you something, then you could throw on your KRS and get your soul, get your spirit. If you felt like you wanted to turn up, you could throw on Uncle Luke and get your doo-doo brown on. But we didn't bump that in the car. Like, that was at the club. That was more of that feel. I think your era is more commercially gimmick rap is all over the radio and all over the clubs, so it doesn't give kids a balance. But when they hear J. Cole spitting like he's spitting, or Big Sean, they get the elements of the real hip hop and they're like, whoo, these dudes' metaphors, their lyrics are crazy. So I'm happy with hip hop. I just feel like we need to give more of a balance on the radio, less negative, and just give 50-50. Give me 50 ratchet and 50 with a message, and now we're giving balance to the kids, because I feel like we got to give the kids a chance to decide what they want to be about and not influence them with the negative BS and force that upon them. I feel like we're forcing negativity upon the kids, and to me, that's whack. And I feel like the people that are in hip hop are like Smokey Robinson said on, I believe it was the BET Awards or the MTV Awards, one of those awards, he said, if you're lucky enough to stand up on this stage and be a part of this music business that has paid you and allowed you to shine, don't be on your high horse. And I feel like a lot of cats are so on their high horse and so happy to have success in music that they don't care what the message is. They're just like, screw the kids, I'm eating whatever. And it's funny because at one point in my music career, I would have got on for any slice of the pie. I felt like I was that hungry coming from the hood. My message was about partying and player. I was all about player-ish, and I still am. But it's more balanced and more grown now. And I think as a kid, I would have fell into what everybody else is on because I hadn't grown up yet and learned accountability. And I feel like a lot of these cats don't hold themselves accountable for what they're giving to the kids. So they got all this money and they got all this publicity, so they insecure cats that finally got some shine, so they don't care. They just like, get the kids whatever. Where I'm glad I didn't fall into that at a young age, because I might have fallen victim to being just like them. Maybe. But I feel like the fact that I've grown up and become a man, now I'm more accountable for what my message is. And there's certain things that I just won't be a part of. Like, I'm not a part of black on black killing. To me, that's so primitive. That's so stupid. That's so retarded to see us condone smoking each other. Everything is, I kill a nigga, I smoke a nigga. Like, that's self-hate to me. And to me, that's just ignorance. And, word to Farrakhan and anybody of any substance, we can't afford that as black people. We didn't get 40 acres and a mule. Like, we're talking about real estate and whatnot. We don't have fathers in our homes. We're 100 years fresh off of slavery. So my grandmother was a part of slavery. So, we can't afford these messages because we're already set back so far that we can't allow that. So we got to take this $1 trillion industry of hip hop and build schools and build learning centers and give back to our people, and I think hip hop is a channel for that. I cringe when I watch Love and Hip Hop. And I don't care if you're a fan or you're a person that's producing the show. Some of my homeboys are on the show. Little Fizz is my partner that grew up. He's my little homie that grew up in my hood right behind 7-Eleven on Slauson. That's Lil Drew. So I respect him for getting his money. Ray J's one of my partners who used to come through my hood and, and kick it and whatnot. And I respect him for being a producer because he's getting that cheddar. But the message, I couldn't sit with my nieces and my cousins and kids in my family and watch Love and Hip Hop because it's that ignorant. It's that much of a negative portrayal of what a relationship should be about. Whether it's the promotion of certain, topics like, questionable topics like the gay guys, tongue kissing on TV. Can you sit with your 4-year-old and 5-year-old and watch that? I don't know too many people that can sit unless you're a pretty ill-minded individual. Okay, so my point exactly, and the fact that they always got the women fighting against each other, How about portraying some relationships like Will and Jada, or like Denzel and his wife, who raised great kids who've gone off to pursue their entertainment careers, and still giving you the balling aspects and the things that excite you, like seeing the fly cars, seeing the nice houses, but family values, morals, and not just portraying the ignorance and stereotypes of black people in America. I mean, Love and Hip Hop is strictly for a check, but at the end of the day, I feel like, what are we gonna ever stand for, black people? If it's a check with it, then you're gonna do anything. I'm so glad that I was able to make my money outside of entertainment in real estate, so that I didn't fall victim to being in that prison of, well, I gotta do this because it's gonna pay my bills. See, now I got outside bread, so now I'm accountable for my message. Like, I look at entertainment from outside as well as being in it, because I still produce, documentaries, and I still write films, and I still do music, but it's just certain things I'm not gonna be a part of because I stand for more than that. And I feel your pops on that. It's actually poison. I wish there was a better message within the Love and Hip Hop where they showed, positive messages where you don't cringe when you watch it with some kids around, because kids are the ones watching that. I mean, those are intelligent dudes. They ain't no fools. So they're getting their checks. Ray J at his age producing, man, I would give him daps. And then I would have to sit down with him and say, man, you got family, you got younger relatives, you got a conscience. Is this the message that you feel that the kids need to see? Is this something you truly in your heart believe represents who you are? Or are you doing it for ratings? I mean, at what point do you have enough money to where you straight? I'm good. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm good. Whether I do anything in my life or with music or entertainment, I'm straight. I don't gotta have a gazillion to be happy, because I was a player. I was swagged out before any money, and I'm gonna be after the money. So you gotta decide as your integrity what you stand for. If that's what you stand for and that's what you want to portray to the world, so be it. Everybody's different. But I don't feel that that's the message that the young black youth, or any youth for that matter, needs to see all day on TV. Maybe if you watch an adult channel or something where you search for that type of content, but not on regular TV. I feel like it's too accessible for, kids growing up. Chief Keef, Soulja Boy, and and Young Thug, because we want the thugs with the skirts on. Absolutely not. That's a joke. Who will we sign? The people that I would sign are already signed. So I mean, who am I feeling in hip hop? The J. Cole's. So
if you had somebody like J. Cole show up at your office and give you a demo, would you consider music?
Of course. As an MC, he's out of here. Based
on his lyricism and his artistry, not based on his celebrity now.
Put it like this, my man. This dude's lyrics, if Jay-Z didn't sign too many people, you can count the amount of people Jay-Z signed, and Jay-Z's one of the best lyricists to ever touch the mic. So if Jay-Z signed J. Cole, then that answers your question right there. Drake, you hear Drake's music, you can't fight Drake's music. You can't fight Lil Wayne's music. And I like when Lil Wayne...
Lil Wayne?
I was going to touch on that, but his wordplay as an MC and metaphors are crazy. His message is a little, now I feel what you're talking about. His message is crazy, but when he does touch on stuff like Katrina, and when he does pump a message, he's very intelligent. I wish he would touch more on the third eye side of his stuff, but Wayne's dope. He gets a little ratchet. But I'm trying to think who else, man. I know I'm missing some cats. I like Hopsin. I like Dizzy Hippie. I like Wiz Khalifa because he's just fun and smoking. I still like Snoop, Jay-Z, Nas. From the new school, it's not as many cats.
If I'm hearing you're not against the ratchet stuff, you just think it needs to be for adults.
It needs to be for adults. I think we're forcing it upon the masses in volume instead of balance. And I think, you need to get the common senses, the J. Cole's, even Big Sean is cool. He has a few, he touches on some ratchet stuff, but his joints are hip hop. And I just feel like we need more hip hop in the limelight. You know what I'm saying? More cats that take time to actually write rhymes and not just mumble lyrics. Because, I mean, how many concerts you gonna go to and be like, I'm in the crowd. I can't even repeat it to sing because I'm dumbing myself down. Like, you can't really get with that. Like, unless you're a remedial or you on a short bus, maybe if they pulled, 2,000 short buses up to a stadium, then you could go to one of them kind of concerts. But if you could, I understand it's the vibe and some of that music, and we used to have that, like I said, we used to have 2 Live Crew and all that, but it was for what it was. It was gimmicky at the club, not the forefront of what hip hop is about. So I just think we need more balance. Well, hiphopsuccess.tv is all about promoting the next up-and-coming entrepreneur. Whether your business is making t-shirts to making music to making movies, we want to promote your business and we want to shine on entrepreneurs. Look at all the new tech companies. We got tech guys like Uber, under 40 billionaires all over the place popping up in, Silicon Valley? Or, like Swifty Morgan would say, Trillicon Valley. But, you got all these young billionaires popping up, man. I think the young generation is seeing how easy it is to get in the internet and make your millions. And I think we're a platform for that. So I'm more into tangible assets as well, like real estate, because they're making more people. They're not making more land. So acquire you some property, because everywhere you step, somebody owns it in America. This is America LLC. But I want to touch on the young entrepreneurs, because so many youngsters are coming up in this tech world and becoming millionaires at a young age. And we want to promote, knowledge and intelligence to the hip hop community and showcase that. Instead of showcasing the fights and showcasing the guns and shooting, we want to showcase your third eye and your brain at hiphopsuccess.tv. I'm Bambino Brown. Thanks for having me.